Right, hello folks, it's the next one. So I don't know whether it's a Rotel 230 or whether it's a Maxcom 30E. It could be either, because the customer has sent two. Where to start with this? It's a Rotel 230 with a power lead, and we'll just check that it hasn't got a hair grip in as a fuse. Two amp, excellent. To be honest, we ought to get a piece of paper So Rotel 230s, they can either have the extra receive circuit, like the Rotel 240 or the Bantam 5-star, or they can not have the extra receive circuit. It's a bit of a 50-50. And the thing is, it's got the PA socket missing, which is annoying. He's not bothered, but I might be, so we'll see. Right. I've got a Servisolve switch cleaner in the wrong position. So let's see what he says. Rotel 230, not so good. Taking a short buzzer, the stick out the back, and it doesn't directly affect, and you don't need to repair it, but I might need to. Squelch knob needs attention. It's continuous from mins, no threshold. Some of these get modified, don't they, by some daft people who do daft things with them. So there we are, Rotel 230. We'll open it up because it's a bit of an unknown. I'm probably going to end up taking all the 4 screws out because of what he says. But we'll start with just the top one and make sure there's no shenanigans like a dead mouse in it. I should have switched the soldering iron on because I'm bound to need it. Oh, it's like that, is it? Right. So it's got a speaker from another life. I don't know what to think about that. Been missing. Right. So these make it even bigger to short together. So we won't be testing it on PA at this stage. get our standard replacement mic. Switch the power supply on. The scales come out of the meters, we're going to have to take that out. And we'll plug our extension speaker on the wall into that rather than the test gear. So we haven't got the extra receive circuit on this one. Okay, we'll start with the VCO. We'll worry about, we'll get the radio working, and then we'll worry about all the ancillary stuff that isn't working. That's interesting. Squelch is working for me. Perhaps it's that he's got it on an aerial and it never comes, he's got such a big background noise, but that's actually working okay. Right. So we'll do the VCO, stick that on there, make sure that both are in camera. Resistor 4, start off on channel 40. Just like that. Should be 4 volts. I hate to say it, but that feels broken. I can see it's broken. It's broken. Good start, isn't it? So we will be taking the other screws out. We'll have to change the coil. I'm sure we'll find a scrap chassis. I think there's a Harvard. Not a Harvard, I think there's a Harrier CB. In fact, I know there's a Harrier CB somewhere which we've been pinching bits off. What a shame. Don't know why it's rattling, but it is rattling. We've got loose screws. Oh, what's... Okay. Okay, well it's not done like that. So we won't be ticking the meter lamp off from the list because the meter lamp doesn't work. It goes through a series resistor. I thought it was a bit bright. Okay, so right in the middle of that wax, we've got to find the right connections. It might be quicker to solder it and then unsolder it. Right, so we'll recover one out of a scrap set. All we've got to do is find the scrap set. So we'll come back to this in a moment. Right, I've just made sure that this this core is going to go in, which it is. Put that in. Of course, this will now be warm, so it will set up slightly out, won't it? Right, let's try again. Power supply back on. Radio back on. Meter back on. VCO for receive. Going to transmit. And we've got 4 volts ish. Receive 4 volts ish. Transmit 4 volts ish. Go to channel 4, channel 1, 2.1. 2.48, that'll do. I will check that again later to make sure the temperature. Right. Right, is picture in picture on? No, it's not. We'll put it on and I don't know what this intermittent crackling is. It doesn't sound good. So right now, let's see what the power output is. Well, at the moment we're doing 180 milliwatts. So I wonder if we're on low power. Yes, we are. Also go to channel 20, which will help. Do that. It's exactly 4 watts. And on channel 40 it's 3.6 watts. And on channel 1 it's 4 watts. On low power It is 180 milliwatts, and it is drawing 1.07 amps on transmit. Deviation for what it's worth on this test set, wallow. He's probably right. We're going to verify immediately with the test set behind me. I just need to make sure the AGC one's in the right position, which it isn't. So it said 1.8 on that test set. Probably lying. Let's see what it says on this one. Oh, this test set isn't switched on. So I'll come back in 20 minutes. Okay, back to the video. Well, in between pausing it and that we're like an hour and a half later, I've had the radio on the test set behind me. The deviation turned out to be 2 kilohertz, and they've just turned it up a little bit to 2.2 average and 2.5 absolute maximum with the preset there. There's the deviation one, and the vertical one is AGC. I like the AGC one to have its thingy right in the middle there. That's what it's called, the thingy. So everything will be nicely warmed up, and let's just see if the radio's on frequency. Check picture in pictures on, it is, and we want camera 2. $27,79104. We'll just pop that up. Never the right way. That's got a massive swing. I think we'll leave it at that. 27,79102, 27,79122. Right, let's go through the transmitter. So it's doing 4 watts, but it's not quite balanced. So we'll see whether we can sort that out. Let's hope there's no more, fingers crossed, no more broken cores. So we're on the high power scale on my test set, so it's 30 watts. So we need to balance that in the centre. That's about there. That one's about there. And that one's about there. We're now at about 4.05 watts. And of course the set's warmed up, so that means there is a bit of improvement. Right, we need to find... I think we're going to use the blue kit on this. Where I've hidden it. Right, so we need this one to maximum. And it's already at maximum. And this one's maximum. And that isn't at maximum. And this one to maximum. And that also isn't at maximum. So quickly go back. I say you've got to be really quick with this because you can end up burning out the PA. I've said before we used to do the Pi Olympics business radios at Nottingham Radio, and it was something like a 45 watt PA for a 10 watt radio, and you had to turn these things up to full to do the tune up, and you actually had smoke coming out of it if you didn't do it within about 8 seconds. So we want what we hit now. We're now at 4.6 watts. So what we need to do is the yellow one here clockwise, so 4.4 watts, which is there, and the green one anti-clockwise. They say for 3.8 watts in the manual, but as I keep saying, we're doing it for 4 because that's the legal limit, and they have to get them through customs and we don't. So that's now 4 watts. So it was 4 watts, it's now 4 watts again, but it's a different 4 watts. So let's see how balanced it is. Now I've done it, probably worse. So there's channel 40, it's 4 watts. And there's channel 1, and it's 4 watts. Well done, Mr. Tango. And what would be nice if it was drawing less current. So put it back to channel 20, turn the squelch up. Oh, the squelch has stopped working. Interesting. Current consumption is 1.157. So it hasn't really improved it, has it? But it has, because it's balanced. It's something really unhappy which goes clickety click all the time. I don't know whether we've got a failing transistor, or whether we've got a Duff capacitor or a dry joint. I'll look at that in a moment. At low power, we'll do that. So at the moment, low power is, oh, it's bang on 400, well, it's 410 milliwatts. We'll just give that a little tiny adjust. .400 milliwatts it is. So that's interesting, that all that I had to do, it was 420 milliwatts, but it was 180 before, so it just goes to show that retuning this actually brought that right. Now the meter at the moment, and I should have checked this before, oh, we can't do the meter because it's broken, isn't it? So we'll have to come back to all that when I've fixed it tomorrow. That's what I'm trying to do. It's Sunday, I'm trying to get the set done. So receive. So I know it's clicking and clacking. Let's see if I can see a dry joint. You never know. Just pause the video. In fact, it looks like there has been a bit of dampness, ingress of moisture or something just around that area. Just one or two, which will just reflow. I think that could benefit with being unsoldered and resoldered. Same with that one. Well, that's the obvious ones anyway, but there could be a failing component. And the squelch still doesn't work, so there you go. It was interesting if it did work and now it doesn't, so I think there's a failing transistor. Okay, so we'll get the cyanide meter on, we'll get the signal generator on frequency. That'll do. And we'll put the camera on the cyanide meter. Oh, we're not on the equipment speaker. We're on the PA speaker on the wall. I've done with that blue tool, so I'll put that back. So turn the squelch down, make sure the RF gain's up. And we've got the tone in the high position. So we've got all the same parameters. So at the moment, 12 dB cyanide, we've got, 0.22. Wow. 10 dB cyanide, 0.2. 20 dB cyanide. Check we're in the right mode. Yeah, we're in the right mode. 0.52. Squelch is intermittent. So we will do the detector. So I'm putting 100 microvolts on the signal generator. We'll go over to the oscilloscope and do the detector. It's a little bit out. That might now have affected the sensitivity and made it worse, but now it won't be garbled. So we'll take the cyanide meter down to about 4 dB, so we're not saturating the receiver. Let's go through it. That was spot on. Tiny little bit of adjustment there. Same with that one. Put a bigger signal on for the IF ones. Spot on. Spot on. Get a new reading, because I have made a little difference, and we're now at 0.2. I'm going to have to go on a different scale for the 10 dB reading, and because it's a different scale, it still says 0.2, so it's better than 0.2. If I drop under 0.2, we start introducing another scale, so it's not always ideal. 20 dB is now 0.61. But of course it's not garbled now. Don't expect this squelch is simply this preset. Oh, it is, its preset's broken. Oh, that might make an easy fix then. I've got time to do that. I haven't got time to do anything else though. And it's one less chore tomorrow because we've got quite a lot to do to this. Just try and see where the connections are. Do you know, I don't think I've ever changed the squelch preset on a Cybernet 134 before. Let's find where the pins are. So it's only got two, it's used as a rheostat, there's only two connections to the potentiometer. So although those dry joints made no difference, you know, it might well have made a difference, but I can't tell at this stage. And you don't want to send a set back and then it's back a week later with another malfunction. There we go. And when you actually look at this, it's so loose, it's just worn out. So how many K is it? I'm going to get my fiberglass brush on this. These are silver, so they clean up nicely. Won't be a silver one going back in, will it? See if I can see what that says. It says 203, so it's 20K. So 20 and 3 noughts, 20, 3 noughts and 20,000 is 20K. Well, that's not a preferred value for Europe, so we'll be putting 22K in, unless the capacitor kit that I get from Rapid Online happens to be also 20. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be putting 20K in. So I'm telling you a story totally unnecessarily, because these are Japanese and American values. You know as well as I do, there'll be everything but. Except there's 20K. Second to the last packet, but it's there. So, their catalogue number is 67-0414 for 20K skeleton presets. And considering there's only 4 in the packet, I must have used one on something else, but not necessarily in the squelch position. I actually find it easier to load it onto the trimming tool to put it in. So push that hint in. I think it moved. There we go. Let's see if the squelch works now. And the answer is no, but of course the squelch preset might be in the wrong position, and there might be a fault as well. I just wonder if the control is so dirty. Well, there's clearly something wrong. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'll get our own Rotel 230 out and see what is amiss here. Because we've got a scrap set we can pinch a socket off, that's fair enough. But I don't like to send sets out which have been hacked around like that. Right, well that's part 1, and at least the set's working and on frequency. So you can see, although it was doing 4 watts, it wasn't tuned right. And we'll come back to everything else, but at least the set's working. Right. Right, we've still got this on a week later. I had to do other things. We did that road trip. Mr. Chippie's had a look at the dry joints around the squelch. I've changed the preset. I've just done 5 capacitors in the round the audio IC because it's got noise on receive. The crackly noise, so got rid of that. Sometimes that glue underneath can become, is it hygroscopic, is that the word? Probably. Right. So they all got Nicky Con capacitors in. So I just need to see if we can set the squelch. So I'll put 30 microfarads on the signal generator. Let's put picture in picture on. And let's look at the Cybernet meter, which isn't, the camera's not on. So it's should be there. Lead right in the way. Actually, we better look at the attenuator, wouldn't we? So I've got 30 microvolts. So I've got the squelch now at full. 100 microfarads, what am I on about? All these capacitors have been changed. I'll tell you what, we'll put 100 on. The trimming tools across at the chapel, because we had the Scars club meeting, I wanted to demonstrate something. Now that's interesting, it's not working, is it? Just one thing I do while we're fiddling with the squelch is I just set the TX meter. So we know the set's doing 4 watts. It's banging it across a little bit to 5. So we'll just do the preset so it's 4. So that's brought that in line. And we'll set the S meter. Here's 100 microvolts. Interesting, we've got nothing on receive. No, I've got no receive meter working. That's interesting. Is that linked in with the multiple squelch problem? It's definitely not setting up right still. Right, so we're done with this. Just need to do some alignment. This ceramic capacitor, it is capacitor 74. So the clue was no meter. So I think we are there with, I think that's the meter preset. Kind of telling you, having not looked it up properly, but I think that's the meter preset. So if that you've got, this is the second 455 IF. Now a lot of the circuitry is taken off before that. You've got a transistor back here, and a lot of the circuitry is taken off. So the radio is going to work pretty normally. But if this one is short circuit here, and this was the clue was this can was getting warm, then the squelch circuit isn't going to trigger, because that's the triggering point, and also the meter's not going to read, so that was our clue. So I just put my finger in this, I thought, oh, that's warm, and then I find this. Now let's see if we can zoom in. I wonder if this chassis at some time has not had its lids on and it's been kicking around somebody's shed, and mice have got in and actually nibbled this. see if we can get the right camera on. Yep. So I picked that up. This is all snapped away like it's been eaten by mice. It's like teeth marks in it. And that's caused an intermittent short circuit between the various elements inside. Anyway, I've just found one on a scrap chassis rather than dig around and put a new one in, but that's absolutely perfect cure. That's the squelch. I can open it from the signal generator, normal operation. So there was a faulty squelch preset, there were dry joints, and there was a Duff capacitor. And it's right down here. We poke where it is, it's here. It's right there. So you wouldn't kind of be with your... Let's put the camera back out because that looks stupid. You know, if you were doing something, you wouldn't be down there. It's just absolutely bizarre. So what have we done? We started with the VFO, a VCO, because that was broken core. I've done 5 capacitors in the audio because of crackle. That was that. Now that would have been easy to find if we'd have had PA. Customer doesn't want PA. We've spent so much time on this, and I don't want to put it up a bracket in the cost. So what I'm going to do is we're not going to restore that because he doesn't want it and I don't want to pay for it. So we'll leave that as it is. And then we've changed the preset which it needed. So that's 5 capacitors, that, the preset, and the Duff ceramic capacitor. So this has been now on and off for a week, and it'd be nice to move on to his Maxcom 30. So because of this intermittent short, I just need to check the alignment of that can. So let's get the signal generator back on. We're on frequency. I'll put picture-in-picture back. It was on. And we need to be looking at the cyanide meter, just like that. I've already edited most of this video from last Sunday, so there'll only be what I've done today got to be done. So it takes a lot of time. Anyone involved with doing any videos, there's a lot of editing. So where's my tool? We just need to check this is correct. No. Just check it hasn't affected the previous stage. No, it hasn't, that's fine. So we had a very, very good cyanide reading before. Go back a few. The PNI, the Rotel 230. We were at, well, 20 dB was 0.61. After we did the detector, it got worse. So I'll tell you what, we'll look at that. I'm going to knock the thing off frequency now. I'll tell you what, I'm going to check the detector again as well. It's all in the full 55. Let's put the oscilloscope back on. 100 microvolts. Check the detector. No, it was right. While we've got 100 microvolts, now the meter's working, we can set that up. Excellent. Well, that's written a few things. I think the chap's name's Kev. Right, let's set that back up. So we've got no noise now. Turn the volume up. Nearly to feedback. The radio's not generating any noise, which it was doing before. I did those capacitors. And just see where the sensitivity is on the others. So for 12 dB, 0.22, 10 dB, just under 0.2. So they're valid where what I've got before. But I did just need to touch that coil up. Squelch is our final thing. So let's put the radio to full squelch. And I want it to be 100 microvolts. Whatever it was before, all I can do is write in here, and I put intermittent, hadn't I? Because I couldn't get a reading. So here we go. The new reading. Well, that needs to be much tighter than that. But just put the attenuator on the screen before I adjust anything. So that was coming in at 10 microvolts, which is far too wishy-washy. So I'm going to put it to 30. We'll turn the preset, radio's on full squelch. Make sure the RF gain's up. There's our threshold. So it's coming in at 100 microvolts. That's what we want. And at the sensitive end, signal generator to stand by. Let's see where it comes in. 0.92, that's fine. Right. Yeah, I'm starting to get fed up to see this. And we've got quite a few sets piling up from customers to sort out. And until they're sorted, I can't really be playing with my road trip ones. I think we're going to be starting with the D'Amico Convoy, and then the Consam 1320. I think people have already put their little requests in, and all their sets we're going to sell because, as I say, we've already got them, you know, in the system. So anything we can get going, we'll sell on. I'm hoping we'll get most of them going. The only killing point is if the Uniden ones have got the synthesizer chip knackered. By the 80 channel brigade is usually the reason. Now this has to be soldered on because it's a different speaker. I think this has been donated by an old American AM set. I bet it's more decent quality than current models. I've got a Harvard 402 MPA we had a look at together at our radio club meeting. And you won't believe how far the detector was out. So we'll go and do a scratchy corner test as soon as I finish this. Right. Take the aerial out, turn the test gear off, plug in the roof aerial, which once again I will mention is Antron 99, mounted just above gutter level, single story building, without the optional ground plane kit, broadside into a concrete tiled apex roof, and across the road from several acres of woods. It's the worst area we have here, and that's why we use it for the test, deliberately done like this. But we still get 35 miles from the Nottingham direction.
Shoot him.
Shoot him? 1-9, Roger. We'll probably have the tone in that position.
Just tread carefully, Phil. I don't need to tread carefully. As far as I'm up to 8,
He's over deviating. Well, I think we'll leave it on Mega Chippie channel because I don't want to listen to them chuntering. Right, so turned out as a nice radio, really good sensitivity, full 4 watts, and all those 3 things adding up to the faulty squelch situation, plus the noise, which you don't hear when the radio's doing that. Only with the perfect signal did you hear that crackling caused by the capacitors. So where's our bench cookie? There it is. Thanks for watching Rotel 230 from 1981.